And it will be the lightning and thunder that will be waking you up or waking up some of your family members, perhaps. Here's the latest warning. This goes till 12:15 for the Tulsa area. The warnings extend to the Kansas line for high wind gusts. So back to our second round of storms for areas north of Tulsa. Bartlesville warned for 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts there. And so we've already dealt with our fair share of high wind gusts this evening. 2,000 customers or so without power in the Washington County area. Closer in, though, that leading edge continues to advance closer and closer. Highway 97 is now the leading edge of this, pushing into Sand Springs right now. That extends up to Skytook Lake and down to Sapulpa as well. Our storm team is out there as well, and they're watching this, and we'll check in with them shortly. Here's the latest on those high wind gusts. Still looking at that 70 to 80 mile per hour wind potential pushing in towards Sand Springs and in a few pockets north of there. Also some strong winds pushing into Sapulpa and Kellyville at this time. So this is enough to cause some tree damage, especially given how wet the soils are. That can knock trees over. So keep that in mind as you take shelter. That is something that we'll want you to be aware of as well. So trees might come down a bit more readily in these scenarios. But the storm is moving so quickly to the east that it will be in and out of here in a matter of 20-30 minutes. So that will limit the amount of rain that falls. But here's a broader track just to give folks away even from Tulsa an idea of when this might be showing up. Tulsa, we're just seeing this about now. It's coming into the west sides of Tulsa as we speak. Owasso by 11:58, Broken Arrow by just after midnight, and Coweta just a few minutes to follow at 12:06, 12:09 in the Inola area, and we're looking all the way to Pryor and Adair, 12:15, 12:18 respectively. So that gets us clear through the Tulsa area and beyond. This will likely be the high wind event of the evening, but more storms are likely to follow. Here's the other view. This shows all the lightning associated with this. So you won't hear a ton of thunder before this arrives, just due to the fast-moving nature. Some of the lightning is lagging behind, but just be aware that is another ongoing threat with this system. A severe thunderstorm watch is in effect until 4 o'clock in the morning for almost all of our counties along and north of I-40, including into Kansas. We are also dealing with a flood watch for 1 to 4 inches of rainfall between now and tomorrow evening, and a lot of that is falling tonight. We've already seen rainfall rates tonight on the order of 3 inches per hour, so that's readily going to cause flash flooding if that kind of downpour pushes through. Here's the latest track on this by 1:30. That's past Tulsa, entering Muskogee, Pryor, Veneta. We're looking at 2 a.m. or 2:30 along the Arkansas line, and then we're watching for more storms to back build, and that could cause the flooding threat as time goes along. But once again, that will take us till the early morning hours with the severe threat beginning to lessen by this point. But once again, severe storms blowing into green country, a warning till 12:15 for 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts. We'll send it back over to Chief Meteorologist James Adelot for another update.
Yeah, continuing to look back to the west. This is from Jinx all the way back west into these thunderstorms with a lot of lightning. The strong winds have not made it to Jinx yet, but I want to show you how far away they are, and they're not far away. Updated track. First, let's zoom all the way in here, and we're going to pinpoint some of the strongest winds too, because we have seen, again, some winds as we look at raw data that are in that 80 to 90 mile per hour range. But it is important to know, it's important to keep in mind that the radar here, especially west of Sand Springs, where I've got data showing 96 miles per hour, radar beam is still about 16 to 1,700 feet up off the ground. Now, because we have had some rain-cooled air over the city, that is cushioning some of this wind from making it all the way to the ground. But even if we're cushioning 25 miles per hour, we're still looking at 70 mile per hour winds, maybe even more in parts of the metro area. So we come back to reflectivity. I'm going to expand the view as we look on the left side of the screen across Zinc Lake and the Arkansas River at that gust front. You can see it's just moving our way. Let's do a track on the leading edge of this line of severe thunderstorms, because that's where the wind is really going to start picking up. So we're looking at winds 50 to 55, or storm speed here, 50 to 55 miles per hour. Downtown Tulsa at midnight, so we're coming up just here in the next few minutes. It's 11:56 right now. Skytook 12:02, Jinx 12:04, there's Sapulpa at 12:05. Tulsa International Airport 12:07, Woodland Hills Mall 12:08, Owasso 12:12, Broken Arrow 12:14, Catoosa, Lake Bixoma, Keatonville Hill, Owasso area and Coweta in there as well. Owasso at 1212. Keatonville Hill east of Owasso at about 1221 and Coweta at 1225. Again, wind is our primary threat with these storms. We have seen, and we're looking very closely on the leading edge of this for any kind of sustained rotation with it. And so far we're not. We have seen a couple of power flashes on this camera that we're looking at on the west side of the screen. Actually, if you look on the left side of your screen, that gray that is coming in, that is wind-blown heavy rain that's sweeping across the west bank of the Arkansas River. It's getting ready to move directly toward that camera. Phil, swing that back around to the west. Let's just see that come. Okay. So we have seen a couple of power flashes in here, which is not uncommon when you have winds this strong. And meteorologist Mike Grogan made some great points about the fact that the ground is still saturated and wet, so it's not holding on to trees at the root system. So it won't take much wind to cause tree damage and some uprooting of trees. So you can see the raindrops starting to hit the camera right now, and the wind is starting to hit that camera as well. So we'll continue to watch that moving back our way. Let's jump over to Joseph Tyree's shot if we can. He's on RS7. He's on the Broken Arrow Expressway on the south side of downtown Tulsa right now and continuing to see the rain just starting. He's going east now on the south side of downtown. You can see that on the left side of your screen. That's one of our storm trackers, Joseph Tyree. He's moving toward Peoria and then eventually toward Utica, staying just ahead of some of this heavy rain as it continues to move into the metro area. But wind again is going to be our primary threat from this storm. Let me zoom right back in and we'll take a look again at some of these wind speeds that we're seeing. I'm going to punch some of those back up too. So this severe thunderstorm warning officially for Tulsa. We have so many severe thunderstorm warnings, it's off the screen right now, but continuing to see that severe thunderstorm warning. That's in effect for Tulsa as these winds continue to sweep in. Now, as we look at the wind speeds here and it gets a little closer to the radar, we'll see the wind speeds drop a little bit because we're actually looking a little lower into the thunderstorm, which means we're getting a little more true representation. Now, from that point, I'm showing a 93 mile per hour wind velocity, but it's important to know the radar here is still about 1,600 feet above the ground. So I zeroed in on this area along the Gilcrease Turnpike, Gilcrease Expressway in far west Tulsa County between Sand Springs and downtown. So the radar beam still about 1,600 feet up. So again, cushioning out 25 miles per hour of wind, though, still gets us 70 mile per hour winds out of this. So it is a very stout and windy system coming in anywhere you see the darker blues. And that's what's coming directly toward the radar, too. It's important to note that there are pockets of winds this strong up and down this line of thunderstorms all the way up into parts of Washington County, too. Let me zoom in to the Bartlesville area, already pounded once with strong to severe storms. And you can see in northern Osage County, here comes that next band of storms dropping right on in. We look at storm relative velocity again. I don't see any sustained organized rotation out of this. Let's come further down that line. Again, looking at some of the darker blue pockets, that's where the strongest winds are now moving across downtown Tulsa. And that's our shot from Jinx. Yeah, that's Jinx and the Creek Turnpike and the Arkansas River there. And you can see that rain is coming down in Jinx. You can see those rain curtains just kind of blowing from left to right on that camera picture. Let me actually add up, do a couple more data spots here. Again, we're probably seeing winds in the 70 mile per hour range making it down to the ground, maybe a little bit stronger here, 74 miles per hour. And in this spot, we get over toward TU, and the radar elevation is about 1,200 feet. So we are getting a little closer to the ground, but still, even with 1,200 feet, there's some pad, there's some amount of that wind that's cushioned and not making it all the way to the ground. So this is certainly not at this point anything like the Father's Day storm 2 years ago, but it is windy and it is noisy. The National Weather Service has extended that severe thunderstorm warning now. That's going to be, let's see here. Let me show that warning. and it is a big one till 12:45. And again, for 70-mile-per-hour winds, that's what's coming all the way across the city right now. And that's going to be racing across Wagner and Rogers and into Mays County too. And there's the leading edge track here. Again, moving east, 50 miles per hour, 45 to 50 miles per hour here. And that's going to be moving toward Turley, moving into Tulsa International Airport by 12:05, the Bixby area 12:07, Broken Arrow 12:09. We will have some trees that have some damage. We will have power line damage, and we will have at least yard furniture, things like that blown around if we're talking 70-mile-per-hour winds. But remember, 2 years ago, that Father's Day storm had 100+ mile-per-hour winds. So far, we have no reports of anything like that. So we're continuing to watch this closely. I'm going to go to our cameras. First of all, we'll drop that and look at our Jinx camera as we look right across the Arkansas River Bridge right now. One of those very weak little rotation spots was in this area. Yeah, let's go over to, I'll take this back over to studio camera. And again, we're looking to the west. And some of the winds have already made it in here. And yeah, you can see this camera rocking pretty good. Not the 100-mile-per-hour wind rock that we saw 2 years ago, but we are starting to get the wind ahead of the rain. Now, we're just getting that first raindrops appearing on the screen, but we've had the wind move through first. 169. Okay, let's take a look at 169 camera. Thank you, meteorologist Mike Grogan. Also keeping an eye on that. Look at that. So that's the leading edge of the wind. We're looking south over Mathis Brothers and down toward Dave and Buster's and 71st and 169. There are still some hardy souls out there on 169, but this arc of clouds is some of that wind that is just in real time moving across the metro area. You can see that. But again, there's power flash. You saw that right on the horizon. That's not uncommon. That doesn't mean a tornado. It just means a lot of really strong wind. It may have blown a tree branch or part of a tree into a power line that caused an arc, and that's what transformers do. They are the fail point for the electrical system to decharge damaged lines. So we're watching some of these power flashes as this wind sweeps across the city. Again, looking at probably 70, 75 mile per hour wind. As we watch that move across, some of that rain now you can see on the left side, on the right side of your screen, starting to move in. Look at our studio camera, and kind of hard to tell here. We are getting a bunch of rain, but the wind still fairly strong as that moves across the city too. Let me adjust that a bit, and we see, yeah, seeing some power flashes in there too. So we will see power failures, some tree damage, maybe trees uprooted a bit because the ground, as Mike said earlier, is still very wet, so it doesn't hold on to the root system of these trees very well. Certainly not like what we have seen. But again, it's a very windy and noisy storm moving across the city. Let's check in with meteorologist Mike Grogan. Mike, you may want to talk to Joseph Tyree right now.
Yeah, in fact, we'll go to Joseph right now if he's with us. He's been driving through the Tulsa area and keeping up with the leading edge of this line here. So if we do take Joseph's shot, he looks like he's on Highway 169, so very close to where we were just looking. Joseph, what kind of winds are you getting? What else are you experiencing out there?
Yes, I'm actually on the Broken Arrow Expressway coming up on 169. Boy, that was rolling across the road. So I have 60 to 70 plus mile-an-hour winds, occasional power flashes, quite a bit of loose tree debris. There was something that looked like a giant cone or like pool of something rolling across the Broken Arrow Expressway. So if you're out and about right now, just I would advise pulling off somewhere. But if you are driving, take it slow and make sure you're paying attention because there's going to be a lot of trees down and debris across a lot of the roadways.
Have you noticed any power outages or any downed trees yet? I know you're just at the very leading edge of this.
Power flashes. Saw some from 75 and then a handful of them from the Broken Arrow Expressway. I haven't seen any actual businesses that look like they're power out, but I'm kind of right on the leading edge of this, so I imagine there are quite a few outages behind me.
All right, thank you so much for that report, Joseph. We'll let you get back to driving and check back in just a little bit. Want to show you the camera in full, or at least what you see right here. This is the wind-driven rain going across Highway 169, so not far from Joseph's location there. So it just shows kind of the nature of what's going on. Let's go back to radar. It's not just Tulsa getting the severe weather. We're getting that up into Osage County, too. Just had a 62-mile-per-hour wind report out of Winona, and that cell is rapidly, or that portion of the line is rapidly pushing in on Bartlesville on places already hard hit tonight by strong winds, so that could cause additional issues. I want to go closer into Osage County, and as we flip over to the velocity mode here, some of the strongest winds are right in Winona, heading east on Highway 11 towards Barnsdall, Woolarock, Sunset Lake, and Bartlesville. You'll be up to see this next as we just kind of draw on it, just a general track here for some of the stronger winds. This will take it pretty quickly through Bartlesville there. Pershing by 12:08, Woolarock by 12:16, Bartlesville by 12:25, Dewey area by 12:27, and 1 by about 12:36 or so. That's when the leading edge of the winds, or at least the strongest winds, will be arriving in your location. So getting those strong winds right now in Pawhuska, Woolarock, but of course down the road here in Tulsa, we continue to see this line pushing eastward. That's your latest track there. It's pushing into Broken Arrow as we speak. And this will continue to bring in some strong winds all through the Tulsa area. There's the leading edge of the wind right now. Some of the strongest winds appear to be anywhere from near Midtown TU campus fairgrounds. Now the leading edge pushing towards East Central High School, basically getting over to almost the Rogers County line here. So that's where we're going to probably note some of the winds that might be 60 to 70 plus miles per hour. So expect some power outages and some tree damage. And as we mentioned, maybe some loose debris flying about as Joseph was having to dodge there on the roadways as well. These storms are highly electric. These are going to be in and out of here in about 20 to 30 minutes, but this is also going to be another factor in waking a lot of folks up down the road here, and this is going to race eastward. This warning goes all the way to Mays and Wagner County, and that takes us to 12:45, but the leading edge winds are severe all the way from the Kansas line clear down to Southern Creek County. Once you get south of Tulsa County, though, the orientation of the line is not such that it's going to provide as strong of wind gusts. Only 45-mile-per-hour winds measured out of Bristow. Once again, a severe thunderstorm watch until 4 o'clock in the morning, and we also have a flood watch because additional storms are likely behind this leading edge storm. However, this is providing us with the highest risk of high winds and once again also that limited tornado threat, but so far that's not been realized over the Tulsa area, and that threat will quickly be winding down before long in the Tulsa area. One more check of radar just to show you the overview here. It shows the line rapidly moving eastward, 60 to 65 miles per hour moving eastward with winds up to 70 miles per hour. That's the general line of storms that we've got from Bartlesville clear down to the Okfuskee-Okmulgee County line there. And this will continue eastward with more storms building back behind that. But we'll be concerned mainly with this leading edge. And James is watching this closely. We'll send it back over to the chief.
Yeah, continuing to watch this line of severe thunderstorms moving to the east across the metro area. That's the latest track I've got, moving east 60 miles per hour or so. The strong winds are the biggest impact you can certainly see on the left side of your screen. Some of those strong winds, but the leading edge of this could be rolling into Catoosa here by 12:14, Lake Bixoma, Leonard area 12:16, Coweta 12:23, Claremore 12:25, Inola, Will Rogers Downs area between Claremore, Pryor, and the airport there also. Between 12:30 and 12:35, Northeast Tech on the east side of Pryor, on the west side of Pryor on Highway 20, close to the Mays-Rogers County line by about 12:37. I'll clear that off. Again, we'll look at winds because we're getting a little better representation at some of these, the actual wind speeds that are making it all the way to the ground right now in this part of East Tulsa. Let's zero in on some of these winds that we're seeing. Again, not as strong as what we saw earlier, but remember 68 miles per hour earlier when the radar beam was tilted up, 1,700, maybe 2,000 feet up into the atmosphere. That's where we were seeing 90-plus mile-per-hour winds. We get closer to the ground with the radar data as we get east. On the east side of the city of Tulsa, we've got 68-mile-per-hour winds. We jump to a new severe thunderstorm warning from Chautauqua into Montgomery County. Our friends in Independence and Coffeyville right now with that severe thunderstorm warning. Left side of your screen, we're seeing the view over the Arkansas River and some of that wind. Let's push this track east at about 55 to 60 miles per hour. Little House Museum, Caney Golf Course, 12:15 to 12:17. Independence 1222, Fawn Creek and Drum Creek, the two creeks there at 1226, 1228. Cherryvale 1232, Coffeyville at about 1236. Wind is the primary threat. So far, we've not had any reports at all of any hail or any kind of sustained rotation. We've been watching very closely for any kind of rotations to develop anywhere across our area, but so far we've not seen any of that. So again, velocities are not very strong with this. Let me go to straight up velocity or storm relative velocity. This helps us actually look at rotations just a little bit more clearly. We've seen, again, kind of a weak rotation move across the south side of the metro area. This has been very weak. So what we see with this situation, the quick developing short duration tornado threats. So far, when we've seen these start to indicate a little circulation, the rotation has been very weak and it has stayed very weak. So we'll continue to watch that move across parts of southeastern metro area, southern Broken Arrow too. But again, no sign at all that we have anything getting up to a worrying point, but it's just something we're keeping an eye on. So you can already see this is at NSU Broken Arrow, crossing the Creek Turnpike outer loop, continuing to move east. There's the new Tulsa development, Coweta Sports Park there at the Muskogee Turnpike and Highway 51, the old toll gate area. And back into Tulsa, the heavy rain does continue. And we continue to have quite a bit of wind too, but you can actually see as we transition from yellow back into green, the intensity of the rain even already letting up in downtown Tulsa and back into southeastern Osage County. Left side of your screen, that's the view, Tulsa International Airport right now. And no activity going on out there with that 737 at the gate. The baggage handlers have headed into shelter too. Let's widen the view as we continue to watch this cluster of thunderstorms moving to the east. And we have severe thunderstorms kind of up and down. Severe thunderstorm warnings from I-40 north all the way to the Montgomery County end of this storm. And that's continuing to move to the east, showing you how fast this is moving. And it is moving along really quickly. It's already, the heaviest part of this has already moved across the city of Tulsa. Again, let's see. Still looking probably a baseline 70, maybe a couple of spots hit 75 miles per hour with a gust here and there. So again, nothing like the magnitude of the Father's Day storm 2 years ago, thankfully, but that's continuing to race toward the east. Two things to kind of watch here with it in motion. You can see a little bit of swirl here in southern Washington County. We'll keep a close eye on that. We've seen a little bit of that on the southern edge of the metro area too. We'll keep a close eye on that. But again, so far, we've not seen anything too strong or concerning as far as rotation goes. Now, we also have a severe thunderstorm watch that is in effect until 4 o'clock in the morning for nearly everybody from I-40 to the north. And then these clusters of severe thunderstorm warnings that continue in the metro area too. With the heaviest rain now, it's almost ended in Sand Springs and Prattville. We still have some showers here, but the intensity of the rain is a lot lower as we look out at the airport there on the left side of your screen, right in here, and some of that heavy rain that does continue to fall. Right into the metro area, heavy rain, South Tulsa right now, Bixby, Glenpool, Jinx, and all the way continuing toward the east. We still have the severe thunderstorm warnings in effect until 12:45. That includes Mays, Rogers, Tulsa, and Wagner County as we watch that line of thunderstorms continue to move toward the east. A quick check of velocity again. I want to check those two spots that I pointed out. One located on the southeast side of Broken Arrow has just crossed over the Creek Turnpike outer loop. That looks really weak to me, so I'm not too worried about that. Left side of your screen, that's 169. You can already see the rain intensity has come down a lot there too. Come back into Doppler looking up to the north, that spot that had a little bit of swirl to it. Again, I just don't see anything too concerning here at all right now. So that's certainly great news. Wider view. There's the cluster of thunderstorms continuing to move east across the metro area. Meteorologist Mike Grogan has also been watching this closely too. But Mike, looks like 65 to 75 mile per hour winds have been the biggest impact from this. And thankfully, this could have been a lot worse, but there will be people chasing down trash cans and trampolines tomorrow.
And we're getting some reports of power outages coming in, several hundred from at least the west sides of Tulsa. That will continue to trickle in as this time progresses as well. We also do have a new warning for the expansion of this northern portion of the line through now Nowata, Craig, northern Mays, and Rogers County. That storm continues to be intense and severe. Getting wind reports out of Osage County, 60 to 65 miles per hour right now. Also some reports of some minor damage perhaps at Promenade Mall, so we're going to continue to try to get more reports coming out of that as well. But right now this leading edge is already pushing into Rogers and Wagner County. I want to focus on the northern part of the line though, because we're still getting intense winds out of this right through here, through Pawhuska, Willow Rock, Barnsdall, flipping over to the velocity mode. Granted, we're looking pretty far from the radar site, so that's why we're getting some of the higher winds here versus what we see in Tulsa. It's likely comparable, so 60 to 70 mile per hour winds racing up towards Bartlesville, Ramona, up to the Bowering area, Hewlett Lake. As we look at the overall track, this is moving eastward at also about 60 miles per hour. This is going to put it in Bartlesville by 12:19. So you've basically got a couple minutes, and then the strong winds are blowing in. Might already be in parts of town right now. Taloqua by 12:22, Hogshooter by 12:23, Watova by 12:29, Bushyhead by 12:33, Nowata by 12:37, and you can see down the road there, this will be approaching Adair by 12:47, White Oak by 12:52. So that's the northern part of the line. It is also severe, 60 to 70 mile per hour winds likely coming out of this. Occasionally there's a little notch and something we're watching, but nothing that's been enough to trigger any tornado warning or immediate concern. But this is also a very electric storm. Hearing a bunch of thunder around Tulsa, just even here in the FOX23 studios right now. There's also, once again, an outflow boundary extending all the way to Okmulgee right now. So that's the leading edge of some of the stronger winds that direction. So jumping back out to another site on radar, I do want to point out some of the southern parts of the line too, and other reasons that we're kind of watching this line closely, because we're dealing with the potential for training rainfall here before long. In fact, as you look at this radar imagery right here, you see this line of rain extending back towards Enid and beyond. That is going to be moving over some of the same locations there, which is why we're concerned about dealing with, this is loading right now, but this is going to be why we're dealing with flooding concerns as the night goes along. So we might end up with a flash flood warning given the heavy rainfall rates. But still coming in with some high wind reports right now, just checking in to see some of the highest wind reports on Mesonet. 51, 40 mile per hour wind gusts on the leading edge. There's about a 10-minute delay from the strongest winds to receiving them there, but you can see already this is quickly pushing past. Once again, Bartlesville, we're just going to kind of go down the line here and check in on the east sides of the Tulsa area now, where already the leading edge is well beyond it. So Broken Arrow, Coweta, you're dealing with still the strong winds at this point. But as I put on the velocity mode here, once again, it's right at the radar site right there. So a very real-time image of how those winds might be responding. 69 mile per hour wind gust in Winona. So once again, some of the strongest winds are north of Tulsa right now. So that was just a report from our meteorologist, Phil Price, who's just next to us right now. And you can see very close to the radar site getting what would be almost real wind reports from ground level. So we'll just kind of sample what we have here. And this would indicate probably winds that are about 60 miles per hour in that location. So that is about what we're looking at there. We'll widen the view just a little bit. And that leading edge of the winds is now extending down towards Coweta. Now you're not getting a lot of strong echoes from this, just because the winds are usually being measured to and from the radar site, but right now they're moving kind of at a parallel point, so they're not really showing up strong at this particular radar site. But I guarantee you they're strong. Still severe winds blowing through Wagner County now beyond Coweta, and really Wagner, Choteau, Pryor. This is your time to go ahead and batten down the hatches, get ready for some strong winds on the order of 60 to 70 miles per hour. If you've got a loose object right on your patio outside, make sure that's secure. Otherwise, these winds are going to be blowing in the next 20 minutes to Highway 69. That's how quickly this system is moving. I'll jump back over now to the reflectivity just to show you that there is still a tremendous amount of rain falling in the Tulsa area right now. This rainfall continues to be heaviest in Broken Arrow, Carl Smith Park, Coweta, up into Rogers County. Still raining heavily in Owasso, but starting to taper off a little bit once you get back towards Sperry, Turley, downtown Tulsa, even Jinx, seeing the rain becoming a bit lighter, but the rain and the lightning will continue for quite some time as we widen the view out a little further. We'll show you this line extends further south, so if you're watching us from Okmulgee County, you may not be officially in a severe thunderstorm warning, but still some strong and gusty winds. We do have this warning for Southern Creek County, just lasting a bit longer there into western parts of Okfuskee County. So this will be continuing to push eastward, but we're getting kind of a lighter wind speed here in this zone just because the winds are not kind of matching the movement of the storm as readily. So they're kind of coming down and out from this. So still 30 to 50 mile per hour winds, Beggs to Okmulgee, perhaps to Haskell, and eventually to Boynton. That would be the area that we're getting it. On the left-hand side of your screen, you can see we're flipping between some of our cameras right now, so you get a sense of what's going on in different parts of the metro area. That's looking from FOX23 studios, already a calmer scene. Also nice to see quite a few areas with power out there, and this is very different than that Father's Day storm. But just checking back in with those real-time outage reports coming in, still now looking at over, looks like 2,000, 1 to 2,000 people in Tulsa now without power. So the outages are coming in quite readily. So, yep. And we also have Joseph Tydree. He's keeping up with the storm. Let's go ahead and check back in with him right now. Joseph, if you can hear me, let us know where you are and what kind of winds you're getting now.
Yeah, I've actually looped back west. I'm just going to do some checking for damage, but probably the strongest winds I got, I dropped south on 169. I was getting 55 to 60 mile an hour wind gusts down towards north side of Bixby. So it seemed like the heaviest went roughly along the Broken Arrow Expressway up into northeast Tulsa, but there was likely still some 55 to 60 mile an hour gusts even down towards Bixby.
Gotcha. Yep, that meant it spanned really the entire city of Tulsa dealing with this rain. It looks like you're on the Broken Arrow Expressway. Have you seen any street flooding so far?
There's some minor ponding on the expressway. I'm about to get off here, so I'll see if there's any street flooding in any of the spots that usually flood here on Yale and Sheridan.
And one more question. Have you noticed any areas without power in the Tulsa area? We're still reporting about 2,000 folks in the immediate Tulsa area without power now.
I have not seen any obvious outages. They were driving on the Broken Arrow Expressway. There was a spot that looked darker than usual, but I've not made it over there to confirm.
All right. Thank you so much, Joseph, for that report. Keep us posted on what you're seeing around Tulsa, and we'll check back in just a little bit. All right. Back to the radar. You can see how quickly this line is moving. This gives you kind of the sense of how quickly it pushed into Tulsa, and now the leading edge is well beyond that. Seems to be weakening a touch here on the leading edge here, but we're still getting some powerful winds north of Tulsa with gusts there 60 to 70 miles per hour, and that warning extends now into Montgomery County, Kansas. So if you're watching us from Kansas, you're also dealing with the wind and the hail threat. And I do want to point out, we've not received much hail out of this storm. In fact, the warnings do not include severe level hail, so that is good news. This is primarily a wind concern as it pushes eastward. So just factor that into however you're planning to deal with the storm. If you live east of the Tulsa area, along and east of Highway 69, you still have time to prepare for this storm before it arrives. So if you have loose objects outside, get those secured so they aren't blowing away into your neighbor's yard or causing any damage further. But we're going to continue to track this with Chief Meteorologist James Adelot. He's taking a closer look at where the winds are strongest.
And again, it is still windy. It's still noisy in the metro area. On the left side of your screen, there's the view from Jinx up the Arkansas River. Right side of your screen, that's 169, deserted but wet, still a little windy too. With the rain and thunder leading edge now passing Claremore, Taloqua, Inola, Neodesha, and about to move into Wagoner. Winds still could be 65 to 70 miles per hour. As Mike said, we've seen a little bit of a dial back in the overall strength of this too, but continuing to watch closely for any kind of leading edge type rotation that could be a quick onset or short duration type rotation development. It looks like that'll be more likely north of 412. Kind of in Nowata and Rogers County, that might be the most likely spot to get a little circulation develop. So far, I'm just not seeing anything other than really weak stuff right now. So looks like as we zoom into parts of Rogers County, we again continue to watch closely, but I just don't see any sustained areas of rotation with this, and that's certainly a good sign. I'm going to go all the way up this line, all the way back to the northeast of Bartlesville right now. We're getting up fairly high in elevation, again close to Copan, but that might be a spot that we'll watch fairly closely. But Again, certainly don't see anything too tight or too alarming from this as we continue to watch this line of thunderstorms move to the east. Let me show you how fast this is moving. We'll clear that alert off. I'm going to put this into motion. And look at this. This is about a 1 hour loop here. So this has plowed all the way across Tulsa with the strongest winds now in Rogers and Wagoner and Nowata County. Another thing I want you to see as we looked at that northern part of this line, you can kind of pick up a little bit of a swirl here southeast of Bartlesville. That's an indication we do have a little bit of spin with the atmospheric parameters here. So we're going to watch that closely, but we just examined that closely with velocity and didn't really see anything too terribly alarming with it either. So we've had a lot of wind damage with tree limbs, some power outages, no doubt trash cans and trampolines are on their merry way, especially from west to east with these winds as they move through. But so far, the threat of quick developing or short duration tornado threats has not, thankfully, come to fruition. We've seen some spots with a little bit of circulation that started to form. Thankfully, that did not manage to get going. But again, the spot that probably most concerns me is looking southeast of Bartlesville and getting it closer to Nowata right now. Let me take a little closer look. We'll stop the radar loop right there. Take a look in a couple of these spots. First, we'll zoom in here and you can kind of see the storm in this part of Nowata County has some nooks and crannies that we'll watch. And there is a little bit of rotation here indicated southwest of Nowata, just south of Highway 60, but this is really, thankfully, very weak. That's what we've seen even from the most suspicious parts of these thunderstorms. And again, thankfully, this has been really hauling across the metro area. That has limited our rain totals too. Now we can take a look at radar rainfall estimation of just how much rain has fallen. We haven't really gotten any reports that we've had street flooding or anything either with this. So we look right into the metro area. Oh, let's see, as we look across the city of Tulsa right now, just on average, we're looking at less than an inch of rain out of this as it came blasting through really quickly. So that may, after the morning shower and thunderstorm activity, fast moving storms may have saved us a bit from having some of that heavy rain cause flooding issues. I'm looking at Mesonet data right now for winds just to see what kind of gusts we've had over the last hour. 69 miles per hour Winona, that was earlier. 64 4 Acre, that was earlier. 67 in Oilton, that was earlier. Bixby at about a 40 mile per hour gust. We did see enough damage and reports in between where we have wind measuring equipment to estimate there were a lot of 65 to 75 mile per hour winds that went across the metro area. But even now in the city, as we take a close-in view, you can really see the rainfall rate has really started to let up. Now, we still have some fairly heavy downpours from eastern parts of Bixby through Leonard, Coweta, down towards Stone Bluff and Haskell, curving back to Inola and back into the Claremore area too. But we just haven't, thankfully, seen rotation develop. And that's probably the best news that we've seen so far, and that we haven't had really high-end wind out of this. Now, 70, 75 mile per hour wind is certainly enough to do some tree damage and, of course, trampolines, swing sets, outdoor play stuff that wasn't tied down. This is 41st Street right now on the left side of your screen, heading into just past Darlington there. Promenade Mall, we did have a little bit of damage reported there. It looked like maybe just kind of fascia on one wall may have broken loose there, but we're passing, getting up close to Yale Avenue, so that'd be Research there on the right side of your screen and Promenade on the left side of your screen. The lights looks like they're flashing in all four directions there too at 41st and Yale. So again, keep that in mind too if you're out, that the rule is that the lights are flashing, treat it like it's a four-way stop too. So severe thunderstorm warnings continue, some power outages continue, but not a whole lot. And the warning is in effect until 12:45, but there's no threat in Tulsa for any kind of rotation or tornado threat right now. And that's some of the good news. We haven't seen that materialize. We saw it west of I-35, Mike, but we certainly have not seen it on our side of the state.
Yeah, the one thing coming into us, we now have at least 4,000 customers in Tulsa and at least the Tulsa metro area without power. And that number is also in the couple thousands up into portions of Washington County. And we're probably adding to that given the wind speeds that are blowing through there as well. So a number of you are losing power. So unfortunately, that is not great news given the fact that we've got some hot, muggy days ahead of us. Hopefully it will be nothing much beyond that number in the Tulsa area, but we're continuing to keep tabs on that as well. Still watching areas near Bartlesville for some high wind gusts. This is moving very quickly in the leading edge of those stronger winds from Copan to Bartlesville, Ramona and Vera. This will continue eastward at a pretty rapid clip. I'm just going to zoom out just a touch here and put a track on this. And what we'll see is that the leading edge will likely be taking us from near some of the stronger winds from near Bartlesville, and then I'll stop here and then push it eastward. Take it all the way to Veneta or so, and that line will take us to Dewey, basically now, Ulaga by 12:35. If you're in Talala by 12:40, Nowata, you're getting another storm by 12:47 with strong and severe wind gusts. Chelsea by 12:56. Sanders by 102, White Oak by 113, down to Veneta by 121. So this is going to be racing eastward as well at a very rapid clip, but some of our strongest wind gusts yet have been coming out of Osage County, now sliding through Washington County right now. And this is not for hail, this is strictly winds, and we'll clear this track here and just jump back over to the velocity and make sure we don't have anything suspicious here. We'll actually just back this up here just once more to see, some of the stronger wind gusts right now. Basically where you have the darker colors of red here indicate where some of the stronger winds might be located, maybe not far from Ramona, Oshaleta, and Bartlesville, but we are looking at decent ways from the radar site. But this is a pretty large area of strong wind, so it might last a little while, and that could cause additional wind damage where we've already had strong winds blow through this evening. So likely to get more power outage concerns in this area with time. But that continues its way eastward, and now we look at all the lightning associated with this storm, and it is lit up from Bartlesville through Tulsa back to Bristow, and storms continue back to Stillwater. And the unfortunate trend is that we're likely to see storms continuing for quite a while tonight. Even though these are fast movers, you can see how far the line extends back to the west here. So this is going to be a long-lasting night for storms in the area, but thankfully that main leading edge is the main threat of severe weather, at least for now. We'll just back this up just a few more slides here just to kind of go back without the lightning, and this gives you a broader sense of the overall trajectory. We get some southward development here from Okfuskee County down towards Seminole, but that is not a severe part of the storm at this time, but it is tracking eastward along I-40 as well. But get ready for more rainfall for the night, occasional thunder, and this will continue to be a threat for flooding as the night goes along. But so far, very little reports of flooding. The power outages are probably the most concerning thing that we've had for folks in the Tulsa area, and some strong wind gusts, but certainly not on the caliber of Father's Day. And that should hopefully give some folks east of Tulsa some relief, because these storms are in a way weakening just a touch, but the momentum will still bring the severe gusts clear to the Arkansas border. Pretty assured of that, as these leading edge winds are now at Highway 69, Pryor, Choteau, Maisie, down to Fort Gibson Lake that is, and down towards about Muskogee. You're now at the leading edge, but Muskogee's at a southern point in the line where we're likely dealing with winds maybe on the order of 30 to 50 mile per hour wind gusts versus the stronger winds at the apex of this bow and northward, where we're getting kind of that little spin, a little low pressure developing, what we call a meso low there, not too far from Bartlesville. That's generating some strong winds being brought to the ground as well. That's something we'll continue to watch, but so far no leading edge circulations of concern to prompt any tornado warnings. These are just severe thunderstorm warnings for a high wind potential, which is largely beyond the Tulsa area at this point. We'll send it back over to James Adelot. He's got another update, and once again, a severe thunderstorm watch in effect until 4 o'clock this morning, and a flood watch for all of northeast Oklahoma, clear till Wednesday afternoon. So we've got a little bit more to go before we get rid of all these storms, but hopefully this is our last hurrah for quite a while before a real summertime hot, humid weather pattern sets in. And with all the rain falling, you better believe it is going to be muggy in the coming days. Back to you, James.
Yeah, let's take a look, because there are a few intrepid souls still out on 169 on this stormy night. The rain continues to fall, but certainly nothing as heavy as what we saw earlier. Radar, the rain continues to let up in the metro area, with the heaviest rain pushing south and also east right now. And again, as we look for these quick onset short duration tornado threats. We're looking also basically in this part of the storm, Nocturnal County and into parts of Washington and Montgomery County in Kansas. That appears to be about the most likely spot that we would see anything develop in that spin department. Seen another little increase in spin just to the northwest of Juan. It's still very weak, but that's what we're seeing right now. We're trying to pick these out, just kind of the quick onset, short duration threats. If this would get any stronger, we would watch it. And again, you can see a few brighter greens and brighter reds here close to Juan. So that's something we're going to keep a close eye on. Now, I also want to take a little bit further to the south here, because we've had some really strong winds sweep through Washington County earlier this evening and again as we headed through right now. Let me go back to velocities right now. And again, so some of these dark reds, we're still looking up into the thunderstorm a little bit. So we're kind of, I guess, not super close to the ground, but as far as data goes, we're still seeing 80s and 90-mile-per-hour winds across parts of southern Washington County. There is a cushion, as we saw with these storms going through the metro area, that cushion about 25 miles per hour. So we're still looking at 70 to 75-mile-per-hour winds here. We just had a spotter report of close to 100-mile-per-hour winds in Ramona. So, okay, we've got some really strong winds in spots with this. Let me go back to reflectivity. As we come up here, I think we're driving around Promenade Mall right now, looking for some of that damage that was reported a little bit earlier. So on the west side of Promenade Mall, we're looking up, that's across 41st Street toward Reesers, which everything looks fine at Reesers. Still watching these thunderstorms continue to move into northeastern parts of Nocturnal County and soon to move into Craig County too. Let's give a track on the leading edge. We'll generate that track for you. And from about Coffeyville, kind of curving back right along the leading edge, Mays County all the way back into Wagner County right now, and moving to the east, 55 miles per hour. And we're looking at Maisie Landing at 1238, the Rocklahoma Grounds 1231. There's Locust Grove at 1244, Salina, Snake Creek 1246 to 1248, Pegs in Cherokee County at about 1250, Veneta High School 1255, Langley, Ketchum getting up close to Grand Lake at about 1 o'clock in the morning, Oaks 104, and Little Kansas by about 107. So you can see just how fast these storms have raced across the area. Let me go back and we'll put this into motion. Again, this is about an hour loop. This is not much at all. There you go, on the left side of the screen. Let's take that full screen if we can. There, again, it looks like some of the facing. Okay, let's check in with FOX23 Storm Tracker Joseph Tyree. Joseph, that's your shot as we look on the north side of Promenade Mall toward the Dillard's Outlet Store. What do you got there?
Yeah, it just looks like part of the wall is just completely fallen off. Probably about a 10-foot by maybe 8-foot section has just collapsed on the roadway below.
Yeah, it looks like
you can see the insulation and everything hanging out the side of the building.
Yeah, it looks like just
like
kind of facing there, right?
Yeah, I see the Promenade Mall crew or whoever this is out here has this area blocked off, and they're out here inspecting it right now.
Yeah, I think that where you are, that's the old the Promenade Theater entrance there too, because you can see the frames for the movie posters there on the wall.
Yeah.
With the Dillard's Outlet Store on down the shot in the dark there. But yeah, so great job showing us that. So far, that's been the most substantial damage we've seen, and that's not a whole lot of damage. We're very thankful for that, with Promenade Security keeping a close eye on things out there too. As again, we've seen the rain really let up, the wind's starting to let up as well as we go back to radar right now. And what we have continued to see are winds 65 to 70 miles per hour. That's the latest severe thunderstorm warning that we're kind of getting in a mix of polygons here. Some are expiring soon, some are newly issued for areas northeast of Tulsa. Pushing out of Nocturnal County into Craig County right now, out of Rogers County and into Mays County. Let's take a close-in view here too And again, we're going to look right into northern parts of Mayes County. Anywhere we've got this whole line oriented back northwest to southeast, those are spots that we may pay a little bit closer attention to. Again, I just don't see any signs of organized rotation out of that at all. So that's certainly great news. Just winds, a lot of wind, and this is one of the newest warnings that gets into Delaware County until 1:15, Delaware, Adair, Cherokee County. And this is mainly for wind up to, so we'll check what the Weather Service has said on this warning, but give you a track on this, moving east 60, 65 miles per hour. That's going to be toward Hulbert. Moving faster than the speed limit in Hulbert, I can tell you that. 1249, Spavinaw 1254, Taloqua on the Taloqua Airport on the northwest side of Taloqua. Getting up close to 1 o'clock in the morning. Little Kansas, we talked about earlier, 105, and Jay at 110. As I look at the, we got really strong wind in the, still in that Washington County part of the storm. So Weather Service has pulled the wind down in this warning that goes into Delaware County to 60 miles per hour. So it's still a pretty stout storm. As we look to the north now in parts of Nowata County and moving into Craig County now, we'll check velocity. Again, we're elevated up in the storm a little bit. The radar beam's a little bit higher. We'll also kind of check our little spots that we're watching for any rotation. These have not tightened up here in northwestern parts of Nowata County. And also, let's see, north of Oolagaw, we'll watch that. But again, it's not really tight or bright reds next to bright greens and blues. But we do have some really strong winds sweeping across Washington County and into parts of Nowata and Rogers County too. So this is just a really strong wind that's coming through. Even behind the precip, we're still picking up some of that strong wind as that races to the east. So we'll continue on the air here for just a little bit longer until we clear this out of the metro area. But again, it looks like the kind of slow weakening trend continues. We're just kind of dealing with the fallout now, power outages, tree damage, tracking down trash cans and trampolines too, because the state bird of Oklahoma, the trampoline, often takes flight on storms like this. So let's check in with meteorologist Mike Grogan. I see you've got the AEP PSO power outage map up over there.
Yeah, new reports coming in now. Nearly 8,000 folks and customers around the Tulsa area without power, and that number increases to about 10,000 now reported altogether by PSO over northeast Oklahoma. Most of that between the Tulsa area, generally speaking, and up towards Bartlesville and spots in between. So that's where we appear to be having the highest wind issues with regards to outages so far, and that number continues to climb. So unfortunately, we may see that number go up a little bit higher in the Tulsa area before long. Hopefully this will kind of level out and we'll start to see that number start to drop as repairs are made. But the leading edge of storms continue rather quickly eastward. I want to focus on this north part of the line here, which still has generated strong winds, not just on the leading edge, but wrapping around inside that storm as well. And the strong storms and severe weather extends into southeast Kansas. So from Independence to Coffeyville, you're getting some of the heaviest of the wind and the rain at this time. Looks like some of the heaviest rains coming in on Highway 169 between Oklahoma Union High School up near Coffeyville and then up to Independence, Kansas. When we bring on some of the stronger winds, we're looking quite a ways from the radar site here. So what we're seeing would probably be estimated at 80 to 90 mile per hour winds, but this is above the surface by quite a ways. So we'd subtract a good 20 miles per hour at least, maybe 30 miles per hour in this case. So still that could indicate 40 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts still ongoing across parts of Washington County, now pushing into Rogers County and Nowata County. So this is kind of where this is headed. And I've drawn on a leading edge though for the actual leading edge of the storm itself, where the winds will really start to pick up. Adair, you're up next, 1242. So actually that's beyond this point in time now. The Strang area by 1250, Veneta by 1254. This continues its way eastward towards Jay at 111. We're into Delaware County here now with Grove starting to see the storm about 117, and then clear over to Miami at 122 and really getting close to the Missouri line by this point. And these storms will be out of here within the next hour or so. And then we've got a few more storms to contend with back behind there. As we bring in the wide view, you'll see this line of storms kind of gathering some strength off to the the west. Not warned for severe, so this is just a heavy rain threat developing kind of along Highway 51 west of Stillwater all the way back to almost Woodward, and this will continue to slide east-southeastward. So parts of Green Country that are going to kind of get the long version of this storm might receive a couple inches of rain overnight, and that could lead to flooding by morning. So far, the fast movement of this storm has limited the flooding potential, so that is the good news there. So this is primarily just a wind concern, and also not much hail to go around. That is the other bit of good news here, and no tornado warnings at this time. A severe thunderstorm watch is with us until 4 o'clock in the morning, though, so still there continues to be a risk of at least some severe weather overnight, continuing into the wee hours of your Wednesday morning. The watch does not include our southeasternmost counties at this time, but your threat of storms will eventually come our way once we get towards 5, 6, 7 in the morning, maybe when many of us are getting our day started. So be aware we still have more storms to go even into our Wednesday, and that's why our flood watch extends clear into Wednesday afternoon. 1 to 4 inches of rain total. We're already getting some of that heavy rain in the Tulsa area. Our latest radar predictor shows that this next round of storms likely arriving towards 2 o'clock in the morning from Tulsa south and westward. So this could still be a severe storm with at least some level of wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour and some hail. The main concern by this point will be the flooding rainfall, but thankfully falling at a point many of us are not on the roadways. Then we jump to 3, 4 in the morning. We're starting to see those storms moving into southeastern Oklahoma. So where it hasn't been raining, where it has been storming, McAllister, Eufaula, down to Stigler will be in the mix for this. And then by 4:35 in the morning, the storms are sliding out of southeast Oklahoma and hopefully left with quieter weather as we move into Wednesday. And as we look at this, we might get some redevelopment in the morning hours. So that is a possibility. This would be a lower severe risk, not anything as high end that we were concerned about and have seen in some cases tonight, but those storms will continue to slide out of here through the mid to late morning hours. And it does appear we do have a new tornado warning now. So James, we'll kind of take a look at that. This does look like it is for the leading edge of the storms that put us near the Grove. Well, actually, this would be near Salina, and it's actually pretty clear here, right near Salina. So Salina, Kenwood, Leach, Little Kansas, Concord, up to J. Take cover now. This is a very fast moving storm. I'm going to step off air here and let James also take a look at this here as we check out some of the details on this warning, which right now takes us until 1:30 in the morning. So velocity mode will show that there is rotation near Salina, southeast side, rapidly moving eastward. This appears to be approaching Kenwood and staying just north of Highway 412, just to the northeast of Locust Grove. Back to you, James.
Yeah, moving east at about 55 miles per hour, and that's the rotation. You can certainly see those really brighter reds in this here, just to the southeast of Salina, which takes it very close to Kenwood. But as this moves northeast at about 55 miles per hour, this is what we've been at least worried about, these quick developing, short duration tornado threats. And this is the strongest one we've seen on our part of the state. Our radio partners on KRMG joining us now with that tornado warning for far eastern Mays County. This will not affect Locust Grove. This will not affect Spavinaw and will not affect Choteau or Pryor or Adair. But we're looking at this crossing into Delaware County here soon. The rotation is just east of the Hudson Lake Marina and northeast of Locust Grove. So Locust Grove may officially be in the polygon, but that rotation area is to the northeast of Locust Grove and not a threat. Let's zoom right in and take a look at correlation coefficient, because I see a pixel there of really bright green too. As we come up to correlation coefficient here, yeah, we may have a tornado down with it actually. Yeah, look at that. Close to Kenwood Road, just north of Chimney Rock Lake, east of Highway 82. So Salina, Locust Grove, you are all clear. But we do have a tornado down right now. This area of blue with dual pole radar is indicating debris being lofted up into the radar signal by a tornado. It's down right now just north of Chimney Rock Lake. If you are in Kenwood, Tag Flats, Bull Hollow, anywhere to the east of Highway 82 and north of Chimney Rock Lake, well north of Highway 412, get to the lowest level, center part, smallest room of your home. If you can, get in there quickly. There's that tornado warned zone. Of course, that means get to a safe room or basement if you have that. Lowest level, center part, small room. Cars, mobile homes, and outdoors need to find sturdy shelter. Schools, and offices should be deserted right now, so we're not too worried about that. But we go back to reflectivity, and we're looking just to the north of Chimney Rock Lake right here, very close to Kenwood Road. As we come up to the current radar picture right now, I'm going to drop that off and get a little closer look. This is kind of going up the river. I think that's the Illinois River too, north out of Chimney Rock Lake. So no, I'm sorry, this is further to the north than the Illinois River, but we do have a confirmed tornado right now down just to the north of Chimney Rock Lake. This is just east of Salina right now. As we go back to correlation coefficient, again, this is our debris being lofted. This is moving up over Kenwood Road. That's what connects Salina and Kenwood right now. So this is past Chimney Rock Lake. This is going to at least have a little bit of erratic motion with it. I'm going to back this up just a little bit. We can kind of give an idea on this debris. There's where we had the first indication of debris being lofted. This was, let's see, passing just to the north of Chimney Rock Lake, and right now moving right along Kenwood Road. So that is the debris. This is the Delaware-Mays County line. So anywhere west of Highway 82, you are all clear from this. Go back to velocity. And there's the very bright reds here, kind of around that edge, the southern edge of rotation here, with some greens. That's the northern edge of rotation. So if that tornado, we're going to plot this right on Kenwood Road. So again, Kenwood, take tornado precautions right now. Tag Flats, Bull Hollow, all the way over to County Road 504 as this continues to move toward the northeast. Let's do an updated track on it too. We'll go back to reflectivity, and I want to zoom all the way out here and give the early heads up into the rest of Delaware County too. This is going to be very close to even though Little Kansas is in the tornado warning polygon, I think we can give you the all clear with the main part of this circulation staying north of Little Kansas. It's going to be a lot closer to J. Highway 59 goes down low elevation here and makes some of these zigzags through the river valley, and that's going to be really tough visibility there. This looks like that current circulation, unless we take a right-hand turn, will stay to the north of Colcord and Little Kansas and Highway 116. So basically the threat area still east of Highway 82 and Highway 20, all the way over to the Oklahoma-Arkansas state line right now, with that rotation continuing very close to Kenwood. So if you're in Kenwood, that's where you need to be in your tornado safe place right now. Can we zoom in on FOX23 Doppler radar? Here's Wycliffe School. Here's the Kenwood area. That rotation looks like it's just barely south of the Wycliffe School. That is a strong evidence now, and it's been going for several minutes that we've had tornado debris being lofted up into the radar signal. And, you know, haven't seen just how high that is being lofted up into the radar signal, but I'm about to check right now. So the rotation, the debris looks like it might be starting to unload from the radar signal, but we've got some debris indicated at 5,500 feet, which would indicate that we're dealing most likely with an EF1, possibly low-end EF2 tornado based on debris height. So we're going to continue to watch this as that continues moving toward the northeast, going back to velocity right now. The main rotation does look weaker again. We're just about to move out of Mays County into western Delaware County. We go back to correlation coefficient. And while we still have some signal for lower correlation coefficient, some indication that we have some debris being lofted up into the radar signal, the velocity is not as strong, and that correlation coefficient signal looks like it is spread out a little bit. So not ready to call that this thing is no longer down yet, but by seeing this debris signal spread out a bit, that usually indicates that it stopped lifting debris and is throwing out the debris that's already been lifted up into the storm. Now, we'll know in the next few minutes what is typically the case with this kind of setup. These are quick onset, which is what we saw. This thing spun up pretty quickly over about 5 minutes. but they're also thankfully short duration. These are not the big Oklahoma supercell type severe weather tornadoes that we get, but there's at least some of the greens here and grays, and we still have some fairly bright yellows, oranges, and reds on the south side of the rotation. But this is approaching Kenwood, Tag Flats, and Bull Hollow right now. As I look at high resolution Doppler radar, Mike, I don't see that indication that we have. Well, let's see. Let me go back down to, yeah, it certainly looks like that debris spread out, which is usually, yeah, definitely has. This is the latest correlation coefficient view, and you can see how that doesn't mean the size of the tornado has gotten big. It usually means we're unloading the debris that's been lofted up by a tornado earlier. So still watch this thing super close in Kenwood. Stay in your tornado safe place. Let's check in with meteorologist Mike Grogan. Mike?
Yeah, if you're in the path of this, let's say Delaware County, anywhere from J southward to about Highway 412, go to your lowest room, most interior space. I know it's the middle of the night, but make sure you've got shoes on, a helmet, something to protect your head. That could even be your pillow, your blankets that you might have on hand. And while you're there, just keep your devices charged, as you could lose power, because even if it's not a tornado, you definitely have high winds coming in that could knock out power. And speaking of that, the latest update on power outages, almost 10,000 people now or customers without power in Tulsa, and a big uptick in also power outages north of Tulsa, Bartlesville area, Washington County, and some of the surrounding areas now 3,500 customers. And that is because we're getting powerful winds rotating around what you see right here. That's a little low pressure that has formed. What it's doing, it's bringing down high winds from just above the surface. And we just had a gust to 71 miles per hour in Taloqua, and that's well behind the leading edge here. So don't be letting your guard down after this leading edge pass. We're going to get a wave of 60 to 70 mile per hour winds, even where we're not getting very heavy rainfall here. Just to jump over here, once again, this is our tornado warning, and as we just take a look, because this is a rapidly changing environment. Okay, we're going to send it back over to James here.
Yeah, as we look into Taloqua, we've got another one of these little swirly things starting to appear in Cherokee County right now. Let's check velocity, and again, oh yeah, we certainly have, it looks like on the north side of Taloqua, some rotation taking place here. This is north of Highway 51. Let's check correlation coefficient, and don't really see any evidence that we've got a tornado down right now, but I'm looking at Taloqua, Scraper, Eldon, up Highway 62, east of Taloqua on 51. Be ready to seek shelter, because this is another growing area of rotation. In fact, there's a little bit of rotation on the south side of Taloqua, close to there's the tornado warning just issued for Taloqua too. So again, south side of Taloqua, we've got a little bit of rotation here as well, and that's going to be close to the Super Walmart, the Walmart Supercenter on the south side of Taloqua, NSU right in the middle of Taloqua. Looks like we're kind of in between both of these areas of rotation. Again, we'll go back to correlation coefficient. In one spot I'm going to keep a close eye on here. I'm going to move that over. And again, yeah, just to the north of Taloqua. It fits. Yeah, I think we may have a tornado down here. We may have debris getting lofted up into the radar signal, just that little point here. So we may have another one of these quick onset, short duration tornado threats. That's actually really close to the airport, I think, in Taloqua. That's the new bypass on the west side of town. So on the northwest side of Taloqua, that is debris being lofted up into the radar signal. That's State Highway 51 bypass coming up toward Highway 82. So that, if it continues moving to the northeast, is going to be crossing 82 on the north side of Taloqua and moving up across Highway 10, then across the Illinois River. Here's the Sparrowhawk Fire Department, which is going to be really close. It looks like this may stay, if it moves east or northeast, it may stay just to the north of Highway 62. Here is the strong, you can actually see yellows and brighter oranges, brighter reds here, and then some greens coming back here. So the rotation and the tornado likely occurring right now on the north side of Taloqua. This is downtown Taloqua and NSU down here. And again, Highway 82, here's 62 coming east, crossing the Illinois River. Highway 10, if you've taken Illinois River float trips, you've been on this highway too. As we jump over to correlation coefficient, we're going to watch this little spot east of Highway 82. And when we look at reflectivity, we see high enough reflectivity values that we think that correlation coefficient is lofted debris up into the radar signal now. So we've got a tornado down right now on the northeast side of Taloqua. That's going to be from its position here, moving toward the east to maybe just slightly south of due east. But we can confirm a tornado down with this now, just to northeast of Taloqua. Again, quick onset, short duration tornadoes. This, I'm going to pop back to reflectivity. Now that we've pinpointed where that tornado is, we want to do an updated track on it. Mike, can you look in that warning and tell me what motion the Weather Service is giving us? So the rotation is here. We'll put
Moving
east at 65. So tornado down, Highway 82, northeast side of Taloqua right here, moving to the east at about 65 miles per hour. And again, that's going to take it across the state line into Arkansas over the next 25 minutes, maybe not even that long. Briggs, Eldon, Titanic through 109. Spade Mountain 111, we're into Adair County here toward Christie, Marietta, Fairfield, Piney, and then into Arkansas toward Dutch Mills and toward Lincoln. So that's the latest tornado warning and a confirmed tornado down with it. Let's go to the north now and update you on the tornado warning in Delaware County, where earlier we had that tornado close to Kenwood that lofted tornado debris up into the radar signal 2 in extreme western parts of Delaware County and extreme eastern Mays County, east of Highway 82. We come up to the current correlation coefficient. I don't see any evidence with this one that we have any lofted debris. So holding true to form, this may have been, again, one of these quick onset, short duration tornado events, thankfully. We look northeast of Taloqua here and moving toward Eldon. If you are in Eldon, take your tornado precautions right now. Get on boots, get a helmet on. Doesn't matter what kind of helmet, baseball, football, you name it, skateboard, get in a safe place in Eldon. Most injuries from tornadoes are head injuries, so get that helmet on. We go to velocity. And again, our rotation is now right on the Illinois River and Highway 62. We go to correlation coefficient. And there is still some evidence right in here, right along Highway 10 and the Illinois River and Highway 62 that we have a tornado down just to the west of Eldon. So take tornado precautions in Eldon right now. New severe thunderstorm warning. Let me clear that out. So that is the tornado. It has passed Taloqua, east or west now of Highway 82. I think we can give the all clear here, including the city of Taloqua. That is the rotation just to the northeast of Taloqua right now. We'll go back to velocity, which is what we're looking at here. And the rotation would be located just to the northeast, as we said, northeast of Taloqua and just to the northwest of Eldon. But from where this developed here, it looks like to me we're almost moving due east. So this is going to be really close to Eldon. It's going to be crossing Highway 62, and at the current motion will likely run between Highway 62 and 51 all the way over toward Highway 59 in Adair County. We go back to correlation coefficient. Again, that is our debris being lofted up into the radar signal. I can take a look at this too, and we're going to kind of look right into where we have that debris being lofted up into the radar signal. And doesn't look like that has lofted up very high. So that's certainly a good news that it may not be a really powerful tornado, EF1, EF2 perhaps, but there is debris up in the radar signal here northeast of Taloqua. Going back to reflectivity, kind of make out that hook right here, passing very close to Eldon. And now east of the Illinois River, which runs parallel to Highway 10 from 62 and 51 all the way north. Again, this is kind of, if you've taken a float trip on the Illinois River, you've gone up Highway 10. From Highway 10 west, including Taloqua, we can give you the all clear. But east of the Illinois River, especially now moving into extreme eastern parts of Cherokee County and western Adair County, take your tornado precautions right now, including Eldon. And that's going to continue too, further to the east into Adair County along Highway 62. Let's zoom in here. And again, Proctor, Christie, Strawberry Spring, Addie Lee, maybe I think we can give the all clear along Highway 51, which means the Titanic area would be okay. Now, let's go back to velocity. We clear off that. Again, we see the greens here and the reds and oranges here. That is what allows us to imply and infer that rotation is taking place and that potential tornado right in that area. We go to correlation coefficient. And again, we've got debris being lofted up into the radar signal now. This is well east of Taloqua and continuing to move toward the east. And that's going to be moving out of Cherokee County and into parts of Adair County soon. This is the Nickel Family Preserve. It's going to be passing close, but just south. So we're looking at Eldon, Proctor, Christie, Strawberry Spring, Addie Lee area into Adair County for the most significant threat from this storm. Now, if it holds true to form, we will see this tornado lift soon. But for now, it's still a pretty strong indication that we've got a significant tornado threat moving out of Cherokee into parts of Adair County, Mike.
Yeah, we'll go back to the wide view to show you both tornado warnings. The cell that did produce a brief tornado just to the east of Salina is now well into Delaware County, fast approaching the Arkansas and even the Missouri line here. And then our new warning that is now already pushing well into portions of Adair County there. Behind it, we just have a lot of general rain and wind. Let's go closer in, though. Here are the two warnings right now. You can still see the leading edge is pushing towards Concord. So even if we don't have a tornado here, this little Boeing segment here likely has winds 60+ miles per hour, rapidly moving through the southeastern side of Delaware County. When we put on the velocities here, you still see there's just a little bit of an inflow point perhaps near J, between J and Concord, but that's not well defined at this point. So that's one area of concern, but we'll go closer in and I'll just check out the velocity here on a closer basis. Once again, if we had rotation, it would likely be north of Concord, north of Highway 116 and south of J, moving rather quickly to the east. That is one spot that, once again, does not indicate that we have something ongoing. We'll check our correlation coefficient right now. And no indication there that we're dealing with anything of that nature as well. Back to the velocity, though, we're going to head a little further south to our other tornado warning, because this is, of course, very quick to move and very close to Eldon there. We do have that inflow point. And so rotation located right over the community, maybe just a hair north, heading along Highway 62 eastward. So if you live along Highway 62 in Adair County, please take those tornado precautions, move to that interior lowest floor of your house, and more walls between you and outside act as layers of protection from any flying debris. So if you're anywhere in Taloqua, just in case you didn't hear, you are in the all clear. Anywhere to the west of Highway 10 here, you are in the clear as well. That threat continues from Eldon eastward into portions of Adair County there, and this will be rapidly moving eastward. I'm a little too close to zoom to give the track, but basically between Eldon and Westville is where we'll find that immediate threat if that does spin back up, but it appears it has gone down. Want to point out one other thing really quickly. We are dealing with I'm getting some. Okay, right over here near Nowata, we're getting powerful winds rotating around the backside of a low pressure. There's just a little low pressure area that has formed. We continue to see the power outages rise up there. About 3,000 to 4,000 folks around Bartlesville without that power. In Tulsa, it's about 10,000. So just be prepared. Even though the rain may become lighter, the winds will strengthen. And we've already gone through 2 episodes of high winds in this zone tonight. So this third round could once again cause additional power outages, additional tree damage, that sort of thing, because we did get a gust up to 71 miles per hour out of Taloqua in the past 20 minutes from that kind of rotation there on radar. So just be aware that continues to slide eastward. We still have that severe thunderstorm warning in effect for those locations as a result of the wind, but not a hail concern, as this will eventually push into Craig County, though the leading edge of the storm is well beyond that, all the way to Welch, down towards Veneta and Ketchum is where we're dealing with some of that right now. Overall view, though, it shows more rain and storms extending into western Oklahoma. So we've got another long period of wet and stormy weather overnight. This will lead to more flooding concerns than anything else. These storms back to our west are not severe. The atmosphere is pretty worked over north central Oklahoma. So the threat will be in more untapped air, basically areas that have not received storms, or at least that many storms, a little bit more likely to deal with severe weather, which that threat will eventually expand into southeastern Oklahoma into the wee hours of our Wednesday morning. So that's where the threat will eventually evolve, just kind of thinking long term here. We do have that severe thunderstorm watch in effect until 4 o'clock in the morning. That has been expanded eastward into Arkansas. But within this watch, we also, once again, as you just saw, had 2 brief spin-ups. So a tornado threat is coming with this severe weather threat, primarily for high winds. But thankfully, the threat is quite a bit lower now for the Tulsa area, and not a tornado threat for the metro area as well moving forward. So just heavy rain, maybe some gusty winds at times, and not much more than that beyond the thunder and lightning. Rainfall of 1 to 4 inches total. Flood watch in effect through the evening hours on your Wednesday. So this will be still a longer period of time where we're dealing with this type of weather. So just be aware, we do have quite a few storms out there still. It's in our easternmost counties. We still have our tornado warnings in effect for just a bit longer. These storms are rapidly moving eastward. We're just going to jump back here to velocity and see if we have anything updated with our 2 tornado warnings in effect. The leading edge of the line, we're still getting a little bit of a signal there, not too far from Colcord to the north there near Sycamore. Still an indication we could have something that weak circulation right now could end up being a little bit more if it continues to spin back up. But right now, nothing that's all that concerning for us at this time. Back to the velocity here. Nothing that really looks too suspicious there. But as we go down the line here, we're looking back on the cell that more recently produced our tornado, briefly on the north sides of Taloqua. Now that area a little more diffuse, not as well defined. But if we do have any area of concern, the area that we've been tracking is right along Highway 62, rapidly moving to the east. So that would be approaching the Westville vicinity here in the next 15 minutes. So please be moving to your shelter in case this does spin back up. But if anything, high winds are still in the offing with this leading edge of the storm. That's what they're getting in Eldon and still back into the Taloqua area at this time. We're continuing to watch these severe storms and those threats of tornadoes on the leading edge. James, we'll send it back over to you as we are still dealing with a few more warnings and rapidly pushing towards the state line.
Absolutely. We've got these tornado warnings still in effect until 1:30 in the morning. It still looks like we've got identifiable circulation in Adair County now, east of Eldon. But as I looked at correlation coefficient just a few minutes ago, I did not see any evidence that we had debris being lofted up into the radar signal here. So let's take a look again as we jump into Tulsa, because things are much quieter in town. Still have some light rain falling, some flashes of lightning, occasionally some gusty wind, but we still have some leftover warnings, mostly for wind north of Tulsa. Let's zero in on our circulation now. We have 1 tornado warning left, and that's until 1:30. Delaware County has been allowed to expire, been canceled early, in fact. That rotation continues right in here. So again, we'll switch radar sites, bright oranges and yellows here, a little bit of green here. So the rotation now in Adair County. And this is between 51 and 62, right where we kind of expected that track to take place. Let me zoom in here. This may kick us back over to Fort Smith's radar view, and it does. Bright blues here and some reds here with that rotation just south of Proctor and north of Titanic. This is going to be moving over towards Sanders, eventually toward Barron. I don't think it's going to make it that far. As we take a look at correlation coefficient, don't see any evidence now that we have debris being lofted up into the radar signal here. Let's check in on our Delaware County rotation, because that prompted a tornado warning earlier, produced a tornado that was basically close to Chimney Rock Lake, east and southeast of Salina. We come up into northeastern parts of Delaware County. We still have some rotation here east of Jay. This is going to be moving out of the state soon. But this, as we take a look at correlation coefficient, I don't see any evidence at all that we have any debris being lofted here. There's some precip out actually ahead of that circulation, so it may also have had some rain-cooled air sweep under it, and if that's the case, that pretty quickly ends the threat of rotations with that. Now, the one we are still watching closely, you can still kind of make out that hook shape to it northwest of Stillwell, east of Taloqua. We can give the all clear now to everybody in this warning in Cherokee County. It's the Adair County part of the storm that continues to be a little bit of a threat. Let me zoom in. And again, we're looking kind of right in here. This rotation is weaker now. There are a few areas of brighter green instead of the brighter blue, and the National Weather Service has trimmed out Cherokee County. That might give us a little better pinpoint here of what we're looking at as far as that rotation goes, right in western parts of Adair County. Zooming all the way in, we're looking southeast of Proctor, northeast of Titanic, and very close to the Sanders community, so we're kind of right in between Highway 62 and Highway 51. That's continuing to move to the east. Again, we haven't seen evidence that we've had debris lofted since this passed close to the Eldon community, maybe just to the north of Eldon. We did have signal of debris up into the radar. And so right now we're still watching in the Sanders area because it has been a pretty strong rotation. Let's expand the view and show you all of the watches and warnings that are in effect right now. And they're all now northeast and east of Tulsa, and one tornado warning. The big orange area, we've got a severe thunderstorm watch that is in effect until 4 o'clock in the morning, and our severe thunderstorm warnings that are in effect, and some of these running until 2 o'clock in the morning, not for our area. So 1:45 are the severe thunderstorm warnings on the Oklahoma side of the state line, and our tornado warning in Adair County, that's in effect until 1:30 as that rotation continues to pass just up to the north of Stillwell too. So that rotation did produce confirmed tornadoes. Let's see, Mays County Emergency Management saying they did have some trees and power lines down east of Salina, likely from that tornado that was north of Chimney Rock. A lot of rain continues to fall in the metro area. As we look to the south too, we have seen some very vivid lightning too as we look to the south right now in Tulsa. Roads are still wet. We still have some areas of light rain falling in the metro area, but we're all clear in the metro from any kind of severe weather threat. Let's look back at our tornado warned storm in Adair County. Again, the best news about all of this is how fast these things are moving. That rotation is northwest of Stillwell and moving to the northeast, and this is going to be really quickly out of Oklahoma. Sanders, Christie, Peavine, Piney, and then we're looking at Arkansas, starting at Dutch Mills and Lincoln and toward Prairie Grove, Hogeye, and Farmington by 1:46 as this moves into Washington County in Arkansas, but the tornado warning still in effect in Adair County in Oklahoma. That rotation is getting closer to Highway 59. Let me clear that off. And we're looking right in here. You kind of see that hook shape. So we'd put that potential tornado right south of Highway 62, north of Highway 51, and approaching Highway 59. This is the state line, so you can see just how fast this thing is moving. Not going to be much further, and this thing's going to be out of Oklahoma and into parts of northwestern Arkansas too. So the rotation continues as we look at velocity. Still some hint that we've got fairly organized rotation. I don't see any evidence at all that we have debris being lofted up into the radar signal, so that's good news. But it's still a pretty strong rotation. Let's check in with meteorologist Mike Grobin. Mike?
Yeah, we'll just give you the wide view here in case you're joining us beyond the area that is warned for a tornado in Adair County. Lots of rain, lots of gusty winds, and lightning. But the leading edge is the part that has been causing us the most problems, with one exception I'll show you in just a moment. But the leading edge right now, already pushing into northwest Arkansas through Siloam Springs. It's that little notch we're watching very closely there. Back to the circulation. It's rapidly approaching Highway 59. This is very close to Westville. Westville's right here, so please be in your tornado shelter right now. This did produce a tornado earlier on the north side of Taloqua, pushed past Eldon, and now we're looking at it approaching the junction of Highway 62 and Highway 59 in the next 5 minutes. This will be rapidly moving that direction. We'll jump back to correlation coefficient here, and not noticing anything that's of immediate concern in terms of debris lofted, but still likely strong winds regardless. So 60 to 70 mile per hour wind gusts could still knock down some trees, power line issues, that sort of thing would likely accompany this as well. Down the line further, this is the leading edge of the stronger winds. You see that thin little boundary? That's the leading edge of strong outflow winds, and that would be pushing past Gore and Vienna at this time through the southern extent of parts of Muskogee County there through Eufaula. But these parts of the storms are not severe. So gusty winds, heavy rainfall, but beyond that, not a concern for tornadoes, hail, strong enough winds to even prompt severe weather. That is great news along I-40. But the one area I mentioned that still is a lingering issue, strong winds behind a little low pressure circulation here pushing through Nowata into Craig County, where you see the blues indicates the radar beam is seeing high winds here blowing towards the radar site. So strong northerly winds coming through Nowata County into parts of Rogers County at this time. So that's just a circulation that is bringing those winds down. Still seeing right now winds of about 48 miles per hour in Nowata being reported. That would be the strongest we've had yet. So 40 to locally 60 mile per hour wind gusts could aggravate wind damage issues already in these areas and perhaps provide a few more power outages. Highway 169, the area getting this, but the leading edge of those stronger winds already entering parts of Craig County. We do have a warning in advance of that for strong winds that will continue to include Veneta, Welch, and into portions of Ottawa County. Looks like we've had a reissuance of the tornado warning, but that is simply from the eastern extent of Delaware County well into Arkansas now, and this will take it clear past Highway 49 there in the Fayetteville area, just south of Fayetteville though. But if you have friends or family, this looks like it will hopefully just stay just south of Fayetteville itself. Put on a track here just to give you some indication of where this will be headed from here, from that point eastward. Well, that didn't work out so well, so we'll just clear this off here and I'll just draw this back on. It is moving at about 60 miles per hour, and so that would put it in the Whitmire area by 121, the Adderley area by 122, Barron by 124, and then moving into mostly Arkansas communities outside the FOX23 viewing area from there. So that is just confirming we still have a circulation strong enough to prompt an additional warning, and that warning still is once again for areas in eastern Oklahoma. We'll back up a few times. Here we are, circulation fairly tight right there, just north of Highway 59. So please be in your safe spot there in Westville. Jumping back to reflectivity just to see what that looks like in a clear indent here where we don't have precipitation. That indicates some of that is being held aloft by winds that are angling into the storm to generate that spin, and that would be very close to the Highway 62 and Highway 59 junction. Correlation coefficient, that would indicate where debris might be lofted. Nothing located within the precipitation shield itself, so that indicates probably nothing quite lofted, but still strong enough that we want you to be in your tornado shelter as it enters the final stretches of eastern Oklahoma. Basically, Highway 59 to about the state line needs to be in your shelter at this point. But that is the only tornado warning we have on hand. Beyond that, we just have some strong winds in far northeast Oklahoma and a whole lot of rain and lightning out there that will continue for much of the overnight hours into our Wednesday morning, and a continued severe weather threat to some degree will be with us into Wednesday. James, I'll send it back over to you.
Yeah, as we continue with that tornado warning, we'll be with this until it moves out of Oklahoma and out of our coverage area. We continue with a big area of mostly light rain over the city of Tulsa right now. As we look, all of our warnings continue to the east and northeast of Tulsa. These will be expiring at 1:45 as these storms move out of the state. And we still have that tornado warning, as Mike was giving you that update for that far eastern part of Adair County into Washington County in Arkansas. And here's that kind of hook shape you could see with the storm as it gets very close to Highway 59. We can check velocity. And again, there's some rotation here. It's still just a few miles away from the state line. It'll be crossing over. It is crossing over Highway 59 right now. Fast moving storm. Still at about 60 miles per hour. Correlation coefficient. I'm not seeing any evidence that we've got debris being lofted up into the radar signal with it. But this is already moving across 59, which just leaves about 3 or 4 miles left for it to go. And since it's moving at 55 to 60 miles per hour, this is not going to take long before it moves right on out of Adair County and into Washington County in Arkansas. But officially that tornado warning is in effect until 1:45. And as it continues moving to the east, let's check velocity. It looks like this is really close to Highway 59 right now. So we're really close to being able to give the all clear west of Highway 59 in Adair County. This is not as strong as it was a few minutes ago, but it is certainly strong enough to prompt the tornado warning. So this is, as we zoom right into this, we can pinpoint some of the other towns close to it, in at least spots you might know. Barron and Addie Lee, that's kind of the spots that we're in right now with this. As this part of the rotation with the potential tornado is located right on Highway 59. This is the state line, so this is going to be moving out of Oklahoma here. In fact, it may happen when we get the next data update as we watch this velocity data update. But we go back to reflectivity, and again, we're still seeing a little bit of that hook shape right on top of Highway 59 right now. Another update of correlation coefficient. There's a couple of lower pixels here, but that doesn't look like that's a kind of a debris signal for us. Again, there's that update that takes us now east of Highway 59. So everybody west of Highway 59, we can give you the all clear, including Addie Lee and Strawberry Spring and the Barron area too, even though we do see some pretty strong wind coming into Barron right now. But the rotation continues now east of Highway 59 in far eastern parts of Adair County. This is the state line, Washington County in Arkansas, Adair County in Oklahoma. To recap all of the watches and warnings that are in effect in eastern parts of the state right now, here are the severe thunderstorm warnings. We still have flash flood warnings in effect in parts of central Oklahoma too. Stillwater, northern parts of Lincoln County, but not in our coverage area. Our tornado warning continues in Adair County and Washington County, and the big orange area, a severe thunderstorm watch that is in effect until 4 o'clock in the morning. That is a recap of all the watches and warnings in effect. And you can see in the metro area, the heaviest rain continues south of Tulsa right now, kind of in a broken band from south of Stillwater, Perkins through Lincoln County, Southern Creek County. And then we pick back up the intensity from Muskogee south to Chakota and Warner and Weber's Falls, feeding into that tornado warned storm that's in extreme eastern parts of Adair County now. And that tornado warned part of the storm is just about to move out of the state. In fact, you can see it looks like we're right on the state line here with that. As we go back to velocity, we'll stay with this until it gets clear out of Oklahoma. Now, thankfully, these storms have been moving really quickly. We've not seen significant additional flooding problems. We have seen enough rain where we've had rain just continue to fall in the same spots, mainly to the southwest and west of Tulsa, Stillwater, Perkins area, and back into parts of central Oklahoma where we've had some flooding concerns. But as we come to the eastern Oklahoma, rainfall amounts in general have been less than an inch, which has been keeping us from any significant flooding issues. Now, we have had some water over roads, especially in parts of Bartlesville. Adams Road had water from the first round of strong storms that came over Bartlesville. And then, of course, we had additional storms that came over Bartlesville, too. We continue to see our tornado warned storm in northeastern Adair County, and that is the only tornado warning that we have in the area. We also have a few leftover power outages, too. Meteorologist Mike Grogan has been keeping a close eye on that, too. And Mike, it looks long term. Once we move this out, we still have a few showers and thunderstorms that could redevelop southeast of Tulsa later on Wednesday. But we are seeing a transition to summer.
We certainly are, and I just want to kind of walk you through the rest of the early morning hours as we move forward on Radar Predictor. This is our high-resolution computer model. By 3 o'clock in the morning, the heaviest rain appears to be still centered south of Tulsa. Not to say we can't get a few more severe thunderstorm warnings out of this. There may be pockets of strong winds, perhaps a little hail, but by 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm thinking I-40 will be the stretch that gets the heaviest rainfall. Still heavy rain in the metro area at points, but hopefully more on the light to moderate side to eliminate major flash flooding concerns. By 4 o'clock in the morning, there may be a push southeastward into southeast Oklahoma for more high wind potential for this kind of next round coming on in, but likely below the severe limits that we've had so far tonight with 70 to locally 80-mile-per-hour wind gusts. And then jumping ahead to 5, 6 in the morning, still have areas of rain and thunderstorms, but likely the atmosphere is rather worked over. That means that we're dealing with more stable air and less fuel for higher end storms. That would be good news, but it still might have an impact on that morning drive. 7 a.m. We're seeing another pocket of heavy rain developing from areas from near Taloqua back to maybe Okemah, Okmulgee, down to Okemah. Yeah, that basically stretch there. 9 a.m. More storms expanding into southeastern Oklahoma. This is probably the last of the morning round, though, because beyond that, we might get a few more storms to flare up in the afternoon. but I don't think the coverage will be nearly what we've had tonight. Maybe just a few pinpoint storms that might have a limited severe weather potential. And then we're moving on into the hot summer days ahead of us. All this rainfall likely means we're dealing with muggy conditions and heat index values climbing towards 100 by Thursday and higher than that towards the weekend. So just get ready for more summertime weather and saying goodbye, at least for now, to severe weather threats and daily storms that we've had many days on end. Now, James, back to you.
All right, popping into Adair County, the circulation now moving out of Oklahoma into Washington County. Quick check as we look at reflectivity. You can still see we have some heavy downpours here, but that tornado threat now out of Oklahoma and out of our coverage area. We still have severe thunderstorm watches posted till 4 o'clock, southeast Kansas and most of Oklahoma north of Interstate 40. And we still have some severe thunderstorm warnings left northeast of Tulsa and right along the Arkansas state line, and our tornado warning now out of Adair County and into Washington County. So for now, we will go back to programming and we'll be back on quickly if we have additional tornado development, but I don't expect that. And again, the all clear for Tulsa and the metro area, just some garden variety rain and thunder will continue.
School musical.
Welcome, Mr. Goldberg. I have a feeling that this might be the year that you finally break out of the chorus.
I'm watching Cisco pitter pat. Said I can do that. I could do that.
Turns out